What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to more Black Desert. My name is John, and today I wanted to talk about 5 Black Desert mistakes that people make that cause burnout, and comparing it to MMOs in general. BDO is a sandbox game, which means there's no real linear path of what to do. And as a person who's played many MMOs throughout the years, such as like Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls Online, and a few others. Generally, I understand the progress of going to get max level, getting the best gear, doing the highest raids with your friends and guilds, and that's just a little bit different for Black Desert. So this is more for things that I would recommend not doing, and then I might make a 2-parter for this video and how to do goal setting and how to progress in a more, meaningful way. So what I'm going to talk about is, things that I've taken or the knowledge and information from other games, and as well as my experience in the 7 years playing this game, and just talking about things that I thought are important to just look out for. So in no particular order, number 1 being rushing the end game. Now, as you guys know, what we just talked about, getting to the end, doing the final dungeons, raids, or whatever, is always a big thing in MMOs. But in Black Desert, this is a sandbox game. You just do whatever you want, whether you enjoy grinding, you enjoy life skilling, or you just enjoy doing whatever you want in the game. So, as you guys know, gear progression is a huge thing, no matter what you do. And a little story is, when I started this game, I remember starting it with a friend, and our goal was who can get the best gear, and just we're competitive, and I 100% support competitiveness with other people as well. But this one is just a little bit different in terms of one gear piece at mid to end game can actually be weeks or months of progression difference. So comparing yourself to others while trying to reach the end game, just never a good thing, just because it just causes unnecessary stress, and it's just overall just play at your own pace, and then stop looking at other people's gear and focus on what you do, just because as well as different builds work for different people as well. So it's not necessarily bad to look at a guide, but just figure out what you're playing and how your build works for you, and then I think you'll be good. So yeah, rushing the end game, not a bad thing. It's just this game, it works a little bit differently. Next thing we have is the grind. Everyone knows the grind in Black Desert. No one wants to hear it. And I think the hardest thing about getting new players into BDO is explaining the game to them. So let's say you're an outside player and you've never heard of BDO, and you're just like, okay, so I want to try this game. Someone explain it to me. And I think that really is difficult, because when I were to describe it to my friends, I'd be like, okay, so what's this game about? Yeah, there's PvE, there's PvP, there's life skilling, but how long does it take to get to the end game, as we talked about before? And I'm just like, well, you see, what is there to do? There's a lot of grinding, and do you enjoy running circles or picking flowers all day? Because that's kind of it. But I say that, but there's a lot of things to do, but as a realistic thing, that is what you're going to be doing a lot in this game. And it's just how it is. That's why it's a sandbox. There's no right or wrong progression path. It's just find something you enjoy doing in this game and then just stick to it. Because ultimately, you're going to be sinking thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours into this game. So just find something you enjoy doing. Stick to it, maybe branch off in the future and find more things you enjoy doing, and then just ultimately it's a game at the end of the day. Have fun. And the next thing we're going to talk about is meta classes. Oh boy. So this isn't really a Black Desert exclusive topic. It's more of a what do you want to play, because this is actually a question I get a lot, and I see a lot of my friends that are streamers and content creators get a lot, is what class do you play? And I understand meta chasing. Everyone wants to do the highest DPS. Everyone wants to play the easiest class or the new flavor of the month. And I get that. Trust me, it's not a bad thing. But in this game, as we talked about in our previous topic of this game as a grind, So what I would truly recommend to people is just finding a class that you really enjoy and then sticking to it. It doesn't matter if it's like the best class or the worst class. It's because you're going to be spending thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours doing a few repetitive things. And if you're not enjoying it, you'll find out in the first like 10 hours of playing that you either like what you're doing or you don't. And so even if you're not like the most optimized thing or class for whatever you're doing, if you're having fun with it, trust me when I say the time goes by a lot faster. And I've definitely tried this out myself throughout, I guess, BDO and other MMOs. And because BDO has 26 classes, and I truly think that's like actually a lot, I've always had the mentality of having too many classes makes it very hard to balance all of them. And I understand that every class should be unique in some sort of way, but when you look at tier lists of BDO classes, there are some that are very high up there, and then there are some that really need a buff. And then because there are so many classes, it takes longer for Pearl Abyss to actually balance everything in a way. And no matter what, someone's going to be angry. It is what it is, but it's just one of those things where just find a class you enjoy. They even made it easier these days. They have a tag system, which I'll be tagging something new shortly. And I think that just finding something you enjoy, maybe tagging a new character, play one or two different things, and then if you enjoy it, that's all that matters. And trust me when I say, even if you are a PvPer and your class isn't like the top of the line meta, I have seen people do very well with like just average classes because they know how to play their class very well to the point where they excel at it. Whereas I've seen people who play meta classes, and yeah, they are very good in the hands of a good player, but if you're not good at it, it doesn't matter. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Everyone has a favorite thing that they enjoy, and I have always said that if you need help finding a class for you, especially in this game, because there's a lot of different things, just let me know what your play style is, and I'll help you point in the right direction. So yeah, just like, for example, if you like playing supports or tankier classes. Now, this game is a little bit different because everything is kind of a DPS in this game. There's no real healers or tanks in this game. But there are classes that are tankier and or like you are an assassin type class, more of a support, or I don't know. Just tell me about your play style. Do you like melee, ranged, magic, casters? And I'm happy to point you in the right direction. So leads me to the next thing of people wanting to do the highest DPS in the MMO. I understand that. I personally have that as well in like other games as well. I always want to be the top parser, the 99% and stuff. So in this game, as you guys know, it's very different because numbers aren't shown on the screen, and it makes it a lot harder to see if you're actually doing something right or wrong, and or you don't actually know if stats are actually working because a lot of them are like hidden stats. So one thing I would say is most people in this game, the hard truth is you're just average. You obviously see videos of people doing montages for PvP or high-end grind spots, but I always take those with a grain of salt just because you never know what they have, and some classes are obviously better than the others. That is the way it is. But ultimately, I think that if you were to just pick a build or pick a character, and then after playing it, you kind of have a general idea of how you would build your class. The truth is that some players are better at certain things, whereas, like, for example, I don't know, Zerkers, which are considered the meta top tier class right now, they just have a kit that's loaded with everything. Whereas, like, a Dark Knight, for me, you're not really the main DPS. You're more of like an assassin type character, and you're better off in PvP just picking off stragglers and stuff in PvP. But ultimately, do you find a class flashy? Do you just enjoy what you're doing? And realistically, everyone is at a different gear point in this game. to the point where you can't even see your numbers, which is I don't know. I think part of me says that's a good thing for BDO, but at the same time, I would like to see like progression in picture form more than just looking at my gear and being like, oh, okay, gear score number goes up. That doesn't actually mean anything. It's like, how well can you perform is a more important thing. And I remember in other games, you know how when you're doing the highest raids, I know people that could do really high DPS, but they're also dead half the time. And I know some people that, you know, may not do the highest DPS or may not play the meta classes, but they are really good at what they do. And I would choose them over like top DPS in this game. So that's just one of those things where I think that just knowing how to play your class is more important than haha, big damage build and everything. So overall, just know how your class works, build accordingly, and some classes just do different. Like, it doesn't matter just because you could have the same gear as someone else, but the skill modifier is always different. So that's just one thing that we talked about in terms of like balancing. That's not even in our control. That's Pearl Abyss. So hopefully it just works out for them. And one other thing that I wanted to talk about is people going for best in slot gear. Now, this is the ultimate end game goal for everyone, but rushing it is the hardest thing. And I've made videos on how you guys could go about gear progression in a way that is efficient and meaningful. Whereas if you were to watch another content creator and be like, okay, so I went this route and this route, that works for them. But you also have to do a little bit of research yourself, because assuming you are buying everything on the market, I've talked about this in other videos as well. And let me just give you an example that I've shown before. So when people are upgrading accessories, right? If you look at the crescent ring, right? If you go from Tet to Pen is plus 3 AP, and the difference is it's 54 billion silver, right? Let's just say 55 because it's an easy number. 55 for a 3 AP. And if you look at the Bassi belt, the same thing. 17 AP to 20, that's the same stats, plus 3 AP. But suddenly the difference is you can get that same exact item for like 40 billion. You see how that works? You get the same stats for 15 billion silver less. And ultimately the end game goal would be to get all of the pieces together, and then it just works. But doing things efficiently, learning the central market, and finding out items that work for you are definitely more important than just following some sort of like, here, do this in order guide. Especially if you are not on the North American server like I am. Prices obviously fluctuate depending on what server you're on. So just do a little bit of research and ultimately just practice. And I have definitely seen people do better with lower gear because they know how to play their class more than having best in slot gear, but they like have no idea how to play, or they just have a new tag character and while they're learning it. So yes, rushing the best in slot gear is definitely something I would recommend to everyone eventually. That's the ultimate goal of like MMOs or RPG games in general. Just know that not all classes build the same way. For example, like Dark Knights, they're glass cannons, so you just build a lot of damage and accuracy. Whereas like, I don't know, a ninja would be building a little bit more on the evasion side of everything. And some classes will just build more health and everything. So it's kind of one of those, just learn your class. Best in slot gear is not best in slot for every class. It's something different. But I would say more or less that is talked about more on the accessories side in BDO, whereas the like gear and armor itself is kind of the same. So how you build is different, and hopefully that was a little bit informative. So things we talked about, the grind, yes, it's there. So how would you describe BDO to another player who's never heard of this game, and describe it in a positive light, aside from being like, oh, it's just PvP, PvE, you can do a lot of life skills, it's a sandbox game? How would you actually describe it to like your friend and being like, here's the truth of it, there's gonna be a lot of grind and enhancing kind of sucks? no one really knows how to make a proper enhancing guide. I've seen some pretty decent ones, but let's be real, it's not fun trying to explain to someone who has never heard of enhancing that you have to fail more to succeed. That just sounds weird. Just like in Lost Ark, it's honing, and oh boy. So yeah, also that with the highest DPS, know what you do as a player and what your class does best, and most of all, play what you enjoy in terms of meta classes, because you're going to be spending thousands of hours on what you do. Best in slot gear is different for everyone, and play at your own pace instead of rushing to endgame. Now, I understand that all of these are definitely things that everyone has the mentality of wanting to be the best, and I get that, but just know that BDO is a little bit different. So I think in the next thingy or next video, I might make a video on how to do goal setting and how to not burn out as fast in BDO, or just like making sure you still have fun 6 months down the line. And I'll give you tips that I did, because I've been playing this game for 7 years. I've definitely had my ups and downs in terms of like enhancing and everything. So yeah, what do you enjoy playing? What is fun for you? Stick to that. And before I head out, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you guys come back. I make videos for new players, returning players, and people who are just looking to get better at the game in general. As well as I have a code for the rest of July and part of August. If you are planning on picking up the game, use my code, Jonlaw. It's not case sensitive. And if you decide you want to buy any A coins or pearls, or buy the package and or upgrade your package from like the base game to like the Conqueror's edition or whatever, I get a small commission of that, and I do appreciate it. I will be donating part of the earnings that I get from people using my code to charity later on this year, once I get my totals and everything, and we'll sort that out. So if you do that, just know that the money that I get is going to charity, and I do appreciate it. So we'll give you more information later when the event ends and I actually sort everything out. So thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. If you're interested in the other videos I do, just check out my channel, and maybe some more will be informative and educational for you. So that's all I wanted to talk about. I'll see you guys later. Peace.